guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be getting into this hair and makeup look. I'm going to be doing my hair first as always, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to install a wig today. So the hair that I'm going to be using is from Beauty Forever Hair. I've already washed and conditioned this wig, so we're just going to go ahead and install it, and then I'll get into the makeup portion of this video. Okay, so this is the wig right here. So she is still a little bit damp from washing and conditioning, but the lace is all dry and I have bleached the knots. Once the hair is installed, I'll use my blow dryer to dry it down properly before we add some curls into this wig. I'm not going to be doing anything too crazy as far as styling is concerned. I just kind of want to do some super cute curls, you know, keep it natural today. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get started. I already have my hair pressed and everything. I blow dried it and washed it a couple of days ago. I've just been kind of keeping it straight to make it easier to lie all my wigs flat. I was going to do some cornrows after washing and conditioning it. But so far my wigs have been laying pretty flat with just it, you know, being like this. So I'm just going to pull it back into a braid in the back, and then I'll add my stocking cap. And yeah, I might do braids instead of keeping it straight because I like to work out in the morning. I like to go for runs and, you know, just work out. And yesterday I went for my run, and, you know, once I was done working out and I took my shower and everything like that, I had to repress the roots of my hair because all of it basically poofed back up from me sweating and stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it like this. I might just go back to doing cornrows. I always try to kind of keep, you know, the work with my hair at a minimum so I don't get you know, annoyed with it and stuff. So, but yeah, I might just kind of put it back into cornrows and, you know, just kind of let it do its thing in that state. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling. This is a tight stocking cap. What in the world? Oh boy, it's been a really rough weekend, guys. A really rough weekend. Back in April, I moved in with my sisters. I moved back in April when the coronavirus was kind of picking up speed here in California. It's been really cool. One of my favorite parts is I get to hang out with my pups from my childhood. Shadow and Soupy have been part of the family since I was maybe I want to say 12 or 13 years old, so they're pretty old now. But this weekend has been really rough because one of them, Shadow, he's been going through a really rough time health-wise. He's been having these really bad seizures, and oh my gosh, it's been so hard to watch because it's you don't know what to do in the time that he's going through it to comfort him. So right now he's in the hospital. This is his second time in the hospital in the last 3 days. It's been a really rough weekend. It's trying to deal with that. It's oh my gosh, it's the worst watching him go through that because he just cries. It's you can just hear the pain in his cry. It's, oh my gosh, it's really rough watching him go through that. I'm getting all emotional now. But it's been a really rough weekend trying to deal with that. So yeah, I haven't really been filming or anything like that. I feel I'm so behind on schedule and stuff. I've been trying to kind of find times in between to film, but it just hasn't really felt right. I'm such a workaholic, and you guys. I'm just kind of all over the place. I really wanted to sit down and film a video though because I don't know, when I do my makeup and when I do my hair and stuff like that, I know it probably sounds silly, but it makes me feel better about whatever that's going on in life. Anytime that I can sit down and do my hair and do my makeup, it just somehow it just makes me feel better about whatever is going on. I don't really know why, but it's been that for me for a really long time. But today I'm just going to try to, you know, put myself in a more positive mindset, just do my hair, do my makeup and everything, and kind of go from there, I suppose. Shadow's supposed to be doing okay, so, you know, let's all put up our prayers for him. We're here, we're doing our hair, we're doing our makeup, and hopefully this kind of puts me in a better, you know, mood about everything. So anyways, okay. Yeah. So I have this wig on. This is pretty much what the wig looks like. Like I said, she's still a little bit damp and everything, so I've got to, you know, blow dry her. Basically, I'm just gonna secure this wig. I'm not even gonna attempt to do the bobcat method because I haven't been doing that for a couple of, like, for my last few installs, and it looks, honestly, it looks fine. Like, it really looks fine. Like, I might not even do it ever again. So I'm gonna use the Got to Be High Insta Hold hairspray. So this one right here. Larissa Andrea put me onto that, and yeah, we're just gonna start blow drying this down, and I'll be back to kind of, you know, give you all the other details because we're gonna make lots of noise with my blow dryer. For all of my lace wigs, like anytime I apply one, I feel like I'm getting like some sort of facelift or something because it all just like pulls everything back. Okay, so we are all done going in on our hairspray. I'm gonna take all these clips here. My gosh, my face is like completely lifted. Peppermint green tea, so good. Let me go ahead and grab my eraser and some scissors so I can get this extra lace off. So I have my scissors and my razor. I'm gonna start cutting away all of this excess lace. So I'm just gonna pull this hair back using a hair clip, and we're just gonna cut along the hairline. First, before I go ahead and do that, I'm actually gonna just part away the edges. Thank goodness, like the AC can be so loud, but it's like ridiculously hot out here, so I need it, guys. I'm sorry. Else I'm gonna be melting in here. So I'm just gonna go in with my hot comb and just kind of flatten everything out first before I go in and cut away all that excess lace. I'm not really worried about like the flakiness at this point because I know that with that hairspray, I can just go over it with like a light coat and it'll like make all of that disappear. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is nice and flat. I'm gonna do like a middle part or a side part. I think I want to do a side part with like a really cute like swoop bang or something. Maybe like trim some layers. We shall see. Looking pretty good. Like, I'm not mad at it. I just need to do a little bit of extra plucking because the hair over here is very, very thick, as well as like, well, maybe not like over here, but just like in this general area. So I'm gonna cut away these edges first just so they're not like all up in my eye. For me, a hair will just like go into my eye and like poke me. Okay, so the edges are cut and trimmed. Let me get my tweezers so I can start to pluck away all the excess hair. So now I'm gonna start to pluck. I'm just gonna go over the edges here. Just kind of thin out the front. I'm actually so excited about like the direction that I want to kind of move forward from here on out, you know, with my channel. You know, show you guys more of like who I am as a person. You know, you guys already know me as an artist, so because that's literally, I think, all the content that I put out. But I really want you guys to get to know me as like a person. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like really excited to get into vlogging. I don't think I will, you know, ever transition into like a lifestyle blogger type person, but I definitely want to, you know, kind of, you know, express myself in that way too. I think that is good. Yeah, I'm looking at it through my monitor here and it looks like it's gonna be okay. So what I'm gonna do is just, yeah, that's perfect. And then I think that I have just a tad too much hair in the front. Yeah, that's perfect. Ooh, okay. I was a little worried, but you know, it's much better. That's much better. I'm noticing that even though I really appreciate like how much less time consuming installing my wigs is without the bald cap method, it's a little bit more challenging to kind of get like that super, you know, hairline type of look, because like I said, it's not like the lace isn't sitting on top of like a mesh cap anymore. It's sitting like on top of my actual hair, and my hair is black, so it's casting like a black or gray like shadow underneath the hair, which can make for, you know, a less, you know, natural looking hairline. I'm just doing a little bit of plucking at the front here. But again, nothing crazy. I just want it to be a tad bit thinner. Okay, so hairline is plucked. Now I'm going to trim. So we're going to pull this back again, and we're going to trim off. Before I do that, let me, should I cut away? Should I push this back? Yeah, let's push this back, just so I can see everything better. But yeah, guys, I can't wait to start vlogging. I really can't wait to start vlogging. I feel like I can, you know, get back on track about getting my own apartment. I haven't had my own apartment in so long, and I think it's just time to get back into my own place. Sorry guys, I know I'm not talking a lot. I'm just like really like focused trying to get this look to look good. Okay guys, so the frontal is all trimmed off and everything, like the lace. I'm gonna go back in with the Got to Be High Insta Hold hairspray, so the one that I use to secure my lace. I'm gonna spray some of the hairspray onto the back of my hand, and then using just like a flat edge. So for me, I'm just using my edge brush, like the back of it. So we have the comb here, I'm using this part right here. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of that hairspray to the very edge of the frontal to really make sure that that lace on the edges there is like perfectly molded into the skin. And it's gonna get rid of all of those little like white spots, because that's just basically like the lace just kind of like lifted off of the skin. So once you add like your hairspray, those little spots where like they're basically lifted are gonna just be pressed down. Most of the time I have like my lifting on the sideburns, so I'm really gonna go in on the sideburns as well. Okay, so that's all done. I'm now gonna start to add some edges. So next up, I'm just gonna go in with some more hairspray. And I'm gonna use that to do my edges. Like, I was gonna use a different product, but I think I'm just gonna use this, cause yeah. So I'm just gonna pull a few pieces, just kind of swoop. I don't think I'm gonna do anything too crazy. Just do like a couple of swoops here and there. I don't know what the heck is going outside, but it sounds like there's like a huge, like enormous helicopter like right outside the door. I think there's been like a couple of like fires, like not too far away from where I am. So, cause there's been like helicopters just going like right over for the last like week or two. And it's like every like few days, there's just like a helicopter. And I remember one time I finally got like a glimpse of one, and it had like this huge like hose looking thing just like dangling like off of like the bottom of it. So it made me feel like there was probably like a fire nearby. And those are like maybe like the emergency helicopters that, you know, like help with like the fires and stuff. Like, I've heard them like go overhead at least like maybe 3 times already in the last like 2 weeks. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but those things are loud. Like, praying everybody's good. Yeah, guys, I think I'm ready to get back into like my own apartment. So I'm thinking about maybe going back to like Miami, just to kind of be closer to my mom. Like, I've been so far away from her for a really long time, and it kind of like bugs me that we're so far apart from each other. Me and my mom are pretty close, so like I've got a really good relationship with her. I will say one thing, like having the coronavirus or this pandemic like going on, it really put into perspective like about like what's important in life right now. And that's definitely like family for me. Just like being close to family, spending time with family, just, you know, really appreciating family. There's so many people that are like losing loved ones because of this, and or just can't even like be close to their loved ones. And it's like really wild to me. It's like really put into perspective like how important just family is. Hey guys, so this is voiceover Tiff now. So I figured I'd just go ahead and do a voiceover for the rest of this video. I intended on doing a voiceover for the makeup part anyways. Shadow ended up coming home from the hospital at this point, so I figured let me just go ahead and start the voiceover part at this point in the video, since there was a lot of stuff going on and you guys would have like heard all of it in the background. But all I did after this was basically like style the hair. I already had my edges done, so I went ahead and added a side part and just pressed everything down using my hot comb. And I did go over my edges using a little bit of the Lotta Body wrapping foam just to kind of like restyle them a tad, because I originally styled them I think using the what do you call it, the Got To Be hairspray, and I kind of wanted to remold them in like a different way to better suit the part. I'm doing a little bit of extra, you know, like remolding here and there for the edges, but once that's done I'll go into creating my curls. I did use I think this is like a 1 1/4 inch curling wand if I'm not mistaken to create these curls. So pretty much what I did is towards like the right side of the part, so where there's like less hair, I curled the hair towards my face, and then for the hair that's going to be like a part of our swoop bang, that part of the hair I curled away from my face. So you'll see like when I'm like pulling the hair into the curling wand, it's kind of going backwards as I'm like curling the swoop part. Once I have the hair curled, I'll go in with my Denman brush and just brush everything out really well. I wanted to really like brush out these curls like really good. I didn't want them to be like super tight. I kind of wanted them to be like more, you know, like softer curls. I really do need to get like a new like curling wand that can just give me like the curl that I was actually going for. But it ended up turning exactly like how I wanted it. But I feel like using a larger curling wand would have gotten like the effect much easier. Pretty much just going in with my Denman brush and combing those curls out really good. I took a little bit of time just to play around with the style. I also did use a razor comb to create some like extra layers. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the hair, guys. I really love the way that these curls came out. Don't forget that all of the information for this hair is going to be down below in the description box. So if you have any questions about the hair that I'm wearing, just go ahead and check the description box because all the details will be down there. Honestly, guys, I'm so glad that I sat down to do my hair and makeup this day because I can just see like how it's changing my mood like as I'm doing this voiceover. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move into the makeup. I'm gonna start off priming my eyes. I'm gonna carve underneath the brows first using a concealer. This is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in shade number 40. I just use one that's kind of closest to my skin tone. It doesn't have to be like any, you know, particular concealer or anything like that. Just one that is a little bit closer to your skin tone. And then I'll add my eyeshadow primer. So the reason why I use a concealer prior to my eyeshadow primer is because my eyeshadow primer, as you can see, is a very light shade. And if I just added that all over the eye, it would just be a very, you know, it just wouldn't look good. So the concealer, it just kind of makes the eyeshadow primer blend into the skin a lot more seamlessly, if that makes sense. So I buffed that in, and then I'm going into eyeshadows. So the first shadow that I used was from the Sample Beauty x Beth Painter Painter's palette, and I used the shade Catters. I can't wait to use this palette like a bunch more times because I really love the color story of this palette, but I really wanted to get into the Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette, which is going to be the palette that I'm going to show you guys next. I'm just going to apply that deep plum shade into the crease really well, make sure it's nice and saturated, and then I'll go into my next shade from the new Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette. Yes, I love this color story so much. I was super excited when Colored Raine started putting out their promo pics for this palette because I just knew that I had to get my hands on this palette. I was literally about to buy this palette and then I received it in the mail for PR. So yeah, that worked out really well. Colored Raine is definitely, you know, like on point when it comes to eyeshadow quality. So I highly recommend that you guys definitely check out this palette. I went ahead and used that pink shade as my second crease color. And then I took that shade Turmeric Shot, which is like the orangey kind of yellowish color at the bottom row. And I used that as my final transition color. Right after that, I started cutting my crease. I just went back in with the same eyeshadow base that I used from Be Perfect Cosmetics, and I did a like half cut crease with that. So I just made sure to blend out that primer into the outer corner really well so there's no harsh line because I am going to be applying shadow in that space. So for the outer corner, I just went back in with that same pink shade that we used from the Juicy Boost palette. And then I also used the shade Catters from the Painter's palette by Beth Painter and Sample Beauty, the same shade that we used first on the crease. So I'm then going to take the shade Lemon Wheatgrass, and guys, this shadow is so pretty. All of the shadows in this palette are really pretty, but this one like literally grabbed my heart and just gave it a really big hug. So I'm going to use that next on the lid space. I'm going to apply this using a really flat brush just to make sure that I get maximum pigmentation. Not that that's a problem because Colored Raine shadows are already super pigmented, but I really wanted the shadow to shine. So using a flat eyeshadow brush just really helps with that. Once I have that color on, I'll go back in with that shade Turmeric Shot, which is that orangey shade that we used for our last transition color. And I'll go in between the pink on the outer corner and that shade Lemon Wheatgrass and use that to blend in between. And then to really set off this lid, I'm going to add some glitter. I'm using the one and only Glow Up Academy glitter, of course, in the shade Tinker. And I'm just going to add that to like the very center of the lid. I'm not going in with like a heavy amount of glitter, just like a few, you know, flecks here and there. You know what I mean? Just to kind of like jazz up the lid just a tad bit more. And then I'll add mascara. I'm just using one from Grand Cosmetics. I'm going to apply that onto the top lashes before I go in with my falsies. The lashes that I'm using today are from CrvstalLashes, and these are in the style Angel Baby. I really love these lashes. They're super cute. So I'm just going to pop those on using some tweezers and just make sure to really get those inner corners so they're not lifting. So I'm now going to pause with the eyes and move on to skin. I'm going to moisturize first using a brand new moisturizer that I just got from Huda Beauty. This is the Wishful Honey Balm Moisturizer. I like the way that this feels because it is a jelly moisturizer, but when you look at it in the jar, it looks very thick. So I kind of like that, you know, odd balance to it. I don't know how to explain it, but I definitely really like the texture of this one. So I'm just going to moisturize first with that, and then I'll go in with my primers. I'm using the Farsali Skin Tune Blur today. I haven't used this one in a while, and every time I go back to it, it just reminds me of like why I love it so much. It really does blur the pores and give you like that really soft, focused, like filtered look to the skin. So I'm going to add that on to the cheeks and just kind of like the lower half of the face. And then for all of my oilier areas, I'll use the Farsali Liquid Powder Serum. And for me, I'll place that on the forehead, the nose, and on the inside of the cheeks. I am going to be using a mixture of two different foundations today, but both of them are from Maybelline. So this is the Fit Me foundation in the shade Spicy Brown, and then I also have the Super Stay foundation, so the 24-hour one, and this one is in the shade Toffee. I just mixed equal parts of that onto the back of my hand, blended it together, and then I'm going to apply that using a beauty blender. Then next, I'm going to move on to concealer. I am going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer again. This one is in shade number 30, so it's going to be lighter than the concealer that we use to carve out the brow. So that way I get that nice like highlighted look. So I'm going to apply that on the under eyes, the sides of the nose, the cupid's bow, along the sides of the mouth, and the forehead. Just basically all the usual areas that I add concealer to bring some highlight and brightness into the face. And again, I'm just making sure to blend with my beauty blender. I'm using the same one that I use to blend out my foundation, so I can use the back of the beauty blender, the side that I actually blended the foundation in with, to like blend out any edges or any like harsh lines that might be there still from the edges of the concealer. And then I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Fit Me concealer again, but with a lighter shade. I think this one is number 25 if I'm not mistaken, but I'm only going to use a small amount of this because it is so much brighter than the last one that we used. So I'm going to apply it onto the very inner portion of the under eye, and I'm going to use this to also snatch the sides of the nose. Once I have the concealer in place, I'll use a brush to blend it out just to make sure that I'm like not messing up the shape that I'm going for. And then I'll use my beauty blender again to, you know, give it an extra blend. Then to set that in place, I'm going to use the setting powder from Pretty Vulgar. I really like this powder. I don't know why, but every time I use it, it just makes the skin look super smooth. So I love using this underneath the eyes. I'm basically going to set all of the areas that I applied concealer with that. And again, I'm just using my beauty blender to apply this. Then to set the rest of the face, I'm going to use a very light layer of powdered foundation. This one is from Makeup Forever. It's their Matte Velvet Skin Foundation, and I'm using shade Y535. I'll then go in with my bronzer. I'm going to use the Ace Beauty Bronze in Paradise palette, and I'm taking mostly just the, second to the right shade. So not the darkest shade, but the one next to it. And I'm pretty much just going to use that shade alone to bronze. I remember last time I ended up using a mixture of the two darker shades, and I felt like it was a little too warm. So just with this one shade alone, I feel like I get like that perfect like bronze look. It's not like overly warm, not too cool. It's just right. Then for a little bit of extra brightness on the sides of the nose and to kind of like snatch up the nose a little bit more, I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, and I'm taking shade number 25. So I'm not going to bake necessarily with this, but I am going to like apply it as if I'm baking. So I'm going to use quite a bit of this, and then I'm just going to brush it away right after. This is a powdered foundation. It's just in a loose form, so it's going to give you a lot of pigment. So this is not the type of, you know, powder that you really want to bake with. I mean, unless you're going for that kind of look, but for me personally, I knew that this powder was going to be a lot lighter. I figured, you know, just a good amount onto the sides of the nose and just brush it away really quickly after would do just the right amount of like highlighting that I was going for. I'm then going to go in with blush. You guys know I've been really loving blush lately, so I'm going to go in with a pretty good amount of that. Not too much though, just enough so that way like if it fades a little bit, it's still like, you know, it still shows up. Then moving on to highlight. I don't like to highlight like my cheekbones so much anymore, but I do like to highlight my nose. So I'm going to add a little bit of that onto the bridge of the nose right in between the eyes. And I'm also going to add some onto the tip and the sides of the nose. And the highlighter that I'm using is from MAC Cosmetics. This is their Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Oh Darling. Then moving back to eyes, I'm going to start lining the waterline. I'm using a new liner from Makeup Forever. This is their Aqua Resist color pencil in the shade Lagoon. So it has a really beautiful like greenish blue type of tone to it. I'm loving how pigmented like and smooth that these liners are. So I've been using them quite a bit and just kind of like throwing them in here and there like in my makeup routine. But yeah, so I'm going to use that onto the waterline first. It's kind of like a base. And then I'll go in with a little bit of a blue shadow from the Colored Raine Juicy Boost palette. And this is the shade Blueberry Burst. I think this might be like my favorite color in the palette. Blue is like my favorite color, so any like blue eyeshadow like I'm here for, but I love the way that this has like a little bit of like a lime green reflex in it, so it like shifts into like this almost like blue green type of color. I don't know how to explain it. I'm probably describing it completely wrong, and there's probably no lime green and there's like a completely different other color, but I really like this blue eyeshadow. And yeah, so I made sure to really pack that color onto the lower lash line. I also added a little bit of Kale Green, which is like the darkest green in the palette, and I placed that onto the lower lash line as well for a little bit of extra depth, then followed that up with some mascara onto the lower lashes, and I just ended up using the same mascara that I used for the top lashes, so the one from Grand Cosmetics. And now I'm just going in with some Melt Cosmetics liquid liner in the shade Molten. This is a dark brown liquid liner, and I'm just going to redefine all of my beauty marks that I naturally have and add like a few new ones just for fun. I don't know, I've kind of liked the look of like beauty marks, so I've just been kind of adding them here and there whenever I feel like it. And then I'll move on to my brows. I'm using the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. So usually you guys see me use the Precisely My Brow Pencil, and that one's a lot thinner than this one. So if you like a brow pencil that's going to give you really quick brows, I'd probably suggest the Goof Proof one because it's a lot easier to create like a brow look with this particular pencil since it's a lot thicker. And then to create those little faux brow hairs towards the front of the brow, I'm using their new brow pen, and then I'll follow that up with some brow gel. This is the Gibby Brow in the shade number 5. So I was about to line my lips, and then I remembered that I totally forgot to apply my inner corner highlight. So I'm just going to go back in with that MAC Cosmetics Oh Darling highlighter and just add that to the very inner corners of the eyes. And then I'll move on to applying my lip liner. I'm using my favorite combination right now. This is the NYX Glide On Lip Liner in the shade Intimidate, and then I'll use a little bit of a Melt Cosmetics All Day Everyday Lip Liner in the shade Edible. So the liquid lipstick that I'm going to be using is very light. I'm aware, but don't doubt me. We're going to fix it. So I'm only using a very small amount of this liquid lipstick because, like I said, it's very, very light. So to bring some color back into it, and the lip gloss that I'm using today is from Grand Cosmetics as well in the shade Sunbaked Sedona. And that pretty much completes this look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this hair and makeup tutorial. I'm sorry I kind of had to cut the talk through a little shorter than I intended, but I hope you guys were able to enjoy it either way. And yeah, thanks so much for sticking around, guys. I love you. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.